Hi. Thank you for coming down and talking with us today with RFD-TV.
Well, thank you. I'm a fan of this channel. I watch often.
Love to hear that.
Mhm.
So, how many CMA Fest have you gone to?
Well, it wasn't always called CMA Fest. So
Fanfare.
when it
Yeah.
was called Fanfare, I actually went to a fanfare before I even had a record out. That I had just was in the process of signing with RCA Records in the fall of 1979 is when I actually signed. But I knew earlier that summer that I was going to be signing with them. So I was invited to come to Fanfare in 1979, and I believe it was at the Municipal Auditorium. I think it was before. I think the next year or two it went out to the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
So, and it was funny because I was in the RCA booth at that time signing, and I was just going to stand and look around and just observe and sign this, sign this. I'm not anybody. And I think I said I'm nobody.
Oh,
I think I said that, and they said, "Oh, but you're probably going to be somebody."
they knew, didn't they?
Oh, it's funny. Fanfare is just. I still call it Fanfare, CMA Fest. It is just wonderful, and I'm so happy to see how it's grown. I think it's just a beautiful opportunity to reconnect because I've taken a long break from my recording career. I have a brand new record out called "It's All in the Family," and it was just released in October. So for me, it means a lot to be able to reconnect with the fans who loved my music in the '80s, and then social media has also been wonderful, and RFD-TV has been wonderful because there's a lot of shows that allow artists of my era to come on and perform, and that's been a great thing. But it's also a great opportunity to introduce your music to new people, to people that are new to country music, I have to say, one of the things I love about CMA Fest the most is really the focus is on the fans. I know it looks like, okay, I'm the one being interviewed right now, but really in the minds of most artists that I talk to, it's a giving back. It's like gather the fans in one spot and really treat them, the treat of the year, to just really have that personal connection with the artists. So I'm very glad that country music supports that kind of connecting with the fans. Well, it's interesting because Nobody was such a big success as far as it was a number one country music Billboard number one record, and then it crossed over into the pop charts, which was not a plan. I mean, we weren't trying to be pop country. That song came about, and that's how it wanted to be produced, basically. And believe it or not, I had a number one record before Nobody. I had Drifter. I had some top 10 records. I had Tumbleweed, Heart on the Mend. I'd had The Matador, which was a top 10. I had a history, which I think actually helped me. Because if I just had come out of the chute with a song like Nobody, I think it would have been very hard to follow, and you probably wouldn't even be sitting here talking with me now. But because I was grounded in a little bit more of a traditional country sound, and then that song came along, I think that helped establish me in a better way. Now today, country music continues to evolve, and I like to think of music as happening in kind of eras. Somebody wrote not too long ago, that I was kind of my music and my career having a little bit more of a pop edge was kind of the precursor to the Shania Twains and the Taylor Swifts and the people who came along later, which makes me happy to think that maybe I was a part of the foundation on which, and it's true, we're all the artists that have come before are creating the foundation on which we are doing what we're doing today. And I think country music has always been a reflection of the culture. It's of our lives. It still does that. So it's going to sound different because we're living in a different world than we lived in 20 years ago or 40 years ago or 60 years ago. So it feels like to me in a lot of ways a natural progression. Well, I listen to a mix of music. I listen to the Grand Ole Opry. My dad is from Tennessee. All my relatives on that side of the family are from Tennessee. So I have definitely a history in the South, and was definitely raised on Southern music, the opera. But I also lived in Kokomo, Indiana all my growing up life, and lived within a couple hours of WLS Chicago, and I listened to pop music. So I think my music naturally reflected that. So my favorite singers were Patsy Cline, Tammy Wynette, Tanya Tucker, Karen Carpenter, the Carpenters, Barbara Streisand. I mean, I had this wide range of people who influenced me, and I think my music reflected that.
When you were growing up?
It's what's funny. What first comes to mind is a person who was kind of like a second father to me. His name's Jim Prater, and he was my first booking agent. I was just so young and naive, and I signed with RCA when I was 21 years old, and I started working on the road. And I think Jim Prater, he just kind of took me under his wing and became a daddy to me. So when I think of Father's Day, I actually think of Jim Prater, and I want to thank him because he worked out of Chardon, which was Charlie Pride's booking agency. And actually, Charlie Pride was someone who was very instrumental in helping my career get off to a good start. So that's my Father's Day memory.
That's awesome. That's a good memory. And then what kind of projects do you have going on that you want us to know about?
Well, I have a brand new album out. It's All in the Family. It's available anywhere on the internet, like Amazon or iTunes, Spotify, you name it. I mean, it's on cdbaby.com if you want to have the physical CD, which I would love that because it has a really cool cover and everything that I'd like for people to see. But I'm a co-writer on 9 of the 12 songs, so it's a very personal record, but I think it's very accessible. And the feedback that I'm getting from the fans is that immediately they hear these songs and it sparks memories of their own childhoods in their life, because the album's really about relationship and family.